וניסים בן אסתר. In our parasha, Yosef is revealing himself to his brothers, as we all know. He's revealing and he says, Ani Yosef. And those words, Ani Yosef, shattering very, very strongly. And there are a few questions that must be asked, and they are asked by many of the Mefarshim. And we like to explain today a totally new explanation given by Rav Shalom Mashash Zatzal in his Sefer Vecham HaShemesh. Amazing Perush. So, few of the questions that one must ask is, how is it possible that Yosef, for whole 20 years, where he was missing, didn't inform his father of his status? His father is sure that Yosef is dead. His father is brokenhearted, and he can't get over it. Nafsho keshura benafsho. And just Yosef doesn't make the minimal effort to send a shliach, some kind of messenger, a letter, go and inform his father that the questions that the Mefarshim ask, how is it possible? And each one says his own perush, but all the perushim that the Mefarshim give are hard to understand. For example, some say that he didn't want to get the brothers in trouble. Okay, but your father is in pain. So because the brothers are going to be in trouble, you keep your father in such grave pain, and so on and so forth. We need to understand also what happened right now in this very moment, in the beginning of the parashat Vayigash, that Yosef decides to reveal himself. Why at that point? Comes a Rav Mashash Zatzal and says something fascinating. If he wouldn't say it, I wouldn't be able to say it. Yosef was living throughout his time in Mitzrayim with conspiracy. He was sure that his father was part of the plan to sell him to Mitzrayim and get rid of him. That's what he says, and let's try to explain. Yosef is being sent by his father to see the brothers. Yosef is not loved by his brothers, to say the least. They don't like they don't like Yosef. They hate Yosef. They couldn't even say hello to him. They would wake up in the morning and did not greet him hello. They would totally ignore him. So now his father, that knows how much they dislike him, sends him to such a place where it's dangerous. They're not gonna, what's the purpose? What's the mission behind it? Yosef understands afterwards, after he's being sold, that obviously his father wanted him to go there in order for them to get rid of him. Not only that, when Yosef tells his father the dream, he tells everybody the dream. It says that ve'aviv shamar et hadavar vayig'ar bo aviv, his father screamed at him, and vayishmor et hadavar, which means he kept it in his heart. Why did he keep it in his heart? Rashi says that the reason he kept it in his heart, Yaakov Avinu keeps it in his heart, is in order to see when and how it would actually come true in the future. But Yosef doesn't know that that's what's in the heart of Yaakov. He knows that Yaakov keeps it in his heart. It was obvious. As the Pasuk says, Yaakov, that he shamar belibo v'aviv. So you see, it was kept in the heart. It was something that Yosef understood. But now, everything put together, Yosef understands that the reason he keeps it in his heart is because he wanted to be part of the plan to get rid of him. He shouldn't be here. Because Yosef is planning to rule over not only the brothers, but also over Yaakov Avinu, as it says over there in the dream that he saw in the dream, the symbol of his father and his mother bowing down to him, and he takes over and he rules over them. Something that Yaakov Avinu couldn't tolerate and the brothers didn't. That is what Yosef thinks in his heart the whole time where he is in Mitzrayim. And if that is true, we can clearly understand now the reason that Yosef doesn't send the letter to his father, because he understands that the father is not a friend, if anything, is a foe, is an enemy, somebody is trying to get rid of him, and therefore Yosef doesn't see it correct to send and inform his father. There's nothing to inform. Yaakov Avinu knows that he was sold because Yosef doesn't have a clue of what happened behind the scene. He wasn't there. He doesn't know that after he was sold, the brothers took the ketom nepasim, they smeared it together with blood, and they showed it to his father, and they said, Tarof Toraf Yosef. He doesn't know of that. He thinks that they told him things the way it is, and now he also understands why his father never made the effort to go look for him. The obvious thing that a father should do is go look for your son. We see now that there's hostages, that the parents go out of their mind doing everything possible to try to get those hostages released. And over here you have somebody that was sold, or disappeared, or even in the worst case scenario that the brothers didn't tell the father anything, so at least he's lost, and Yaakov doesn't go to make any effort to look for him. That's very strange. Yosef knows his father doesn't make any effort to look for him because Yosef was the king. Obviously he had spies, he had people doing anything that he wanted, and he knows that his father made zero effort to look for him, but he doesn't know that the reason is since Yaakov Avinu truly thinks that Yosef have died. And because of that, Yosef sees that everything is put together. That's what a conspiracy is. Conspiracy theory is when you have a lot of dots, and everything, when you are connecting the dots, brings you a clear picture that doesn't look the way other people try to bring it out. And therefore over here, Yosef sees there's so many different dots that you can put together that the picture comes out very clear that his father obviously also wanted to get rid of him together with the brothers. It's a chidush nifla, and there's many, many other proofs that he brings in the Sefer to prove, to bring out that very point. But one of the things that he sees, Yosef, when the brothers come to Mitzrayim, he would think maybe in the back of his mind, he would hope in the back of his heart that maybe the brothers, when they come to Mitzrayim, when the famine starts, maybe then they would come and look for him. So he asked them, what are you doing here? Meraglim atem, you are spies. What's the response they're saying to him? No, we just came to get food. Lisbor ochel. We only came to find food, which means we did not come, in other words, we did not come even for the minimal effort to look for our brothers. Maybe we can find him and bring him back home. Maybe we can come and say hello. They totally ignore the looking for the brother. That seals it for Yosef. If that is true, now we can understand something very, very powerful. When in our parasha, the beginning of our parasha, Parashat Vayigash, says Arav Mashash, unbelievable, against all the Mefarshim again. He says that Yosef wasn't planning to reveal at all to them. He was planning to carry on with what he started doing against his brother all the way, just take it all the way until he really takes it to them in full force punishment to the fullest extent of the law, whatever he was able to do. But something have happened in this interaction between Yehuda and Yosef that made the whole conspiracy theory fall apart. And what is it? It says in the beginning of the parasha that when Yehuda meets Yosef, he tells him that you should know. Vanomer, this is what happened. Vatomer el avadecha uridu elai vasima eni alav. Vanomer el adoni lo yuchal anar lazov et aviv v'azav et aviv v'met. Why is that? They tell him because we had a brother beforehand. That's what Yehuda tells Yosef. Ve'etzeh echad mi'iti va'omar ach tarov toraf ve'lo iriti vadena. It's the first time that Yosef hears the father actually was told a totally different story. What is it? That he was killed. Now Yosef, now everything comes together. Now Yosef understands that actually what have happened is that Yaakov was told a totally different story, and that's why he wasn't looking for him, and he wasn't part of the plan. And because of that, Yosef decides that he would reveal to to his father. Now everything comes together in a totally different light. Moreover, now that he sees that Yehuda is willing to sacrifice himself, to go out for Binyamin, for the brother Binyamin, he understands that the brothers have repented what they did back then, and he reveals to them who he is. That's what happened at that very point. And that comes to teach us a very strong message. Sometimes we see things in the world that look in one way, and everything points out to that way, but really, in reality, it's something totally different. The reality is totally something different. And many times you don't see it right away. Over here, it took Yosef 20 years to understand that very point, that really, in reality, his father was with him and not against him. And all this time, he was having these ill thoughts about his father. And that is something that teaches us, if Yosef fell in conspiracy theory, we also are very vulnerable to fall in different theories ourselves when things make so much sense that that's what happened, when in reality it could be that it's something different. So the message from this parasha is, I think, according to this, is that we should not always take things at surface level understanding, but rather many times it's not the way we see things. Many times it's not the way we perceive people. Many times we see somebody and we think he's evil when in reality he's good. And that's not the story that we have in front of us. Is not the emet. It's not the true face of the story. That is something that we all should understand from this parasha. And thank you for joining.